Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrac and Kole. This podcast is a conversation between two business partners, Joanne Kandrac and Kelly Kole. Join us for a lively conversation about all things interior design, from current projects, trade show experiences, worldwide travel, what's in, what's out, and all the challenges and wins they've had running their successful design business. Whether you're a seasoned interior designer, new to the industry, or a creative enthusiast, you will walk away with insightful information, newfound inspiration, and a smile on your face after listening to these two. And here they are, Joanne and Kelly.
Hey everybody, welcome to Inside Design with Kandrac and Kole. And today we are talking about a very fun event that we went to with Cosentino in Los Cabos, Mexico. So we were very lucky to be invited to this conference. It was, we've been long-time supporters of Cosentino and have been using their product probably for over 15 years. Yeah. And you will see their website come up. They have, they're a Spanish family-owned company. They produce and distribute services for design and architecture. So the three main surfaces are Sensa, which is a granite and quartzite product. Second is Silestone, which is their quartz, which is man-made, and Decton, which is a product that's used for facades, floors. It's used in many exterior buildings. It's really UV resistant, abrasion resistant, temperature resistant. So you'll see it a lot of times on the outsides of buildings. And so one of the things that is really impressive about Cosentino, and they've been doing it for a very long time, is their commitment to the environment and sustainability. You can check out their website. It talks all about what they do with water and how they run, how the factories run, and it's very, very impressive.
This event was so beautiful, you guys. I think if you liked our episode on the Aspire Tour event we went to, you'll really like this one too, because we're going to talk a lot about kind of all the nuggets that we pulled out of that event, and it was star-studded. So before we jump into it, though, I want to let you know that this podcast is sponsored by the High Point Market Authority. So as you guys know, this market is the one that needs no introduction because we talk about it all the time. We consider the High Point market to be really the pinnacle in our industry, where industry standards are set and future trends are forecasted. So the Spring Market 2024 is coming up April 13th to the 17th, and registration is now open. So we've got some big announcements to share direct from the source. The Goo Goo Dolls, if you didn't listen to our last podcast, will be the headliner band for Sunday night. We're so excited about that. Bunny Williams was just announced that she will be one of the keynote speakers. And there will be two other keynote speakers coming up to be announced. One of them I think you will very much recognize. So be sure to go to highpointmarket.org to register. Get your hotel rooms now and kind of look through the website and think about, you got to plan your trip. Think about where you want to pop in, the educational events, and so much more. So feel free to reach out to us if you're feeling overwhelmed at even the thought of it. We're happy to help, and we can help you put your trip together. So thank you, High Point Market Authority.
Okay. On to the event of the year, which is probably, it's only February.
It was beyond.
This event was held at the Grand Velos in Los Cabos, a beautiful all-inclusive resort right on the ocean.
5-star, honey.
Yes, total 5-star. Ocean view suites, beautiful grounds, world-class service for sure.
It was absolutely amazing.
So we arrived on a Sunday in the afternoon, and they had a welcome dinner, which the tables were set, like I can't even tell you. They were probably, I don't know, how long were those tables, would you say?
Well, there was 387 attendees. I think they said between designers and brands people. I want to say there were 3 tables. So you can imagine there was 80 people at each table that went on. And
they had lights hanging. They had greenery, beautiful table settings.
Stunning.
It was a great way to introduce everybody and get everybody going. And Kelly and I sat at different tables.
Yes.
So it was kind of nice. We each got to meet and talk to different people. So that was like the first night.
Yes.
Then the next morning, the opening, the actual person who created this whole event is Patty Dominguez. She is the VP of Business Development for the Americas.
She does an amazing job.
And so she had her opening remarks, and then she introduced Paco Cosentino, who is the main dude.
The dad. The founder.
Yes.
And it was funny because we all had to put on our little headphones, like all of us, because he doesn't speak English very well. And I thought that was really cool that they were so prepared for him, because he doesn't usually get up and speak. That was a really big deal for him. But to hear from a founder of an established company that's so worldwide, and to hear his remarks, and his kids run the company now along with Patty, and so that was just really super special. So then there were a series over the next couple of days of panelists, and we're going to tell you about the panelists, because every single one was amazing. Sometimes you might have a dud thrown in. Yeah, there were no duds.
There were really no duds. I mean, we were just basically
super interested and engaged
the whole time. Yeah. Really, which was really, really nice. Plus, we sat in the front row. I love to sit in the front row.
You didn't in school, but you do at the conferences.
The very first one, which I think probably was really one of my favorites, the panel consisted of Joanna Saltz. She is the editorial director of Hearst Beautiful.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Brent is a designer, and also Nate Berkus's husband. And then a really cool guy named Edward Lehman. He's the chief brand officer of California Closets. And their topic was making a house a home. So
good.
Edward was
quite the wordsmith.
Yes.
Joanna said he will have fortune cookie messages for us throughout, and she was so spot on, because I'm trying to scribble down everything he was saying, because I wanted to absorb it later.
Yeah. So we had it all done. And so here are just a few nuggets from Edward. A brand is your product, quality, the value, the experience, and beliefs. It's very basic. That's a lot. Basically tells you what a brand is.
Yeah. Okay. But I thought it was cool when he said strong values quietly represented. And you know how you just get a brand can just quietly exude what they're all about without screaming it and being obnoxious about it. And I think you got to really think about that, and think about if your company is doing that.
We're exposed to a lot of brands, and I think
some do it a lot better than others.
Yeah, and quietly presented, I think we are lucky enough to know a lot of those brands. Yeah, and it's very easy to notice it, but I don't know how easy it is to project it, but they do it well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Jeremiah you might know Nate Berkus more than you know Jeremiah Brent, but he is a renowned designer in his own right, and he just wrote a new book. But the two of them have a podcast, and I didn't even know that.
I didn't either.
And so I'm so excited to listen. It's called Ideas of Order. But so Jeremiah and Edward were kind of bouncing off each other. But one thing that Edward said was, there's 3 qualities that designers have to exude when working with their clients. And they're kind of the 3 big lenses of design. And they are visceral, behavioral, and reflective. And those are kind of big words. But I think, I was sitting there throughout this event, and I'm thinking, we have huge jobs. Why aren't we respected like surgeons and attorneys and so forth? Because seriously, what we do for people's homes, and when you think about those qualities that we have to project and that we have to work with, we're working with some crazy personalities and husbands and wives.
You have to be able to have a good, what's the word I'm looking for? You have to use your gut. You got to try to pull it from them.
It's behavioral. It's like you said, it's visceral. It's you're getting very in depth with people. And he said, we have to put out this feeling that you see me, you like me, you trust me. That's a lot. Yep. That's a lot to put out for people to,
to spend their money
about you.
They're spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you have to get it. You have to get it right. And you have to be able to pick those things that are going to be meaningful for them and get it right.
Yeah.
So,
but if you want to hear more, I mean, Jeremiah was great, but really Edward, I was like,
yeah,
stop it. He's going to come on the podcast
yeah.
because we hunted down his PR agent.
And we were like, please. And she said he'll be very happy to do it. So
he was very
be
sweet.
On the lookout. He was really great.
Yes.
He was really great.
That was good. So then the next panel you can probably bring up, Russ, was Designing for the Future with our good friend Carrie Kelly, founder and creative director of Carrie Kelly Studio. And she had several panelists on. Yes, this is it. It was Paco again.
Yes.
It was Stanley Cheng, who I'm sure you don't know, but he is the founder again of Hearst Cookware. And then we had Laura Kohler.
Wow.
Chief Sustainability and DEI Officer of Kohler Products.
I didn't know.
Blow me away, that woman.
I didn't know much about her or know anything. Just she's one of the female. There's a lot of Kohler men, but here she is, the granddaughter. And the things that she had to say, she's extremely smart. Mm-hmm. She's extremely thoughtful about how they run the company and the sustainability. I mean, she's huge. Really all over it. I was so impressed with her. And so one of the things, it's so funny because Kohler's mission statement hasn't changed since 1948, but now it is to help people live gracious, beautiful, and sustainable lives. That word sustainable was not always in the description about interior design
or emission statements, period.
Beautiful, functional, but sustainable is really out on the forefront now. Mm-hmm. And I love that a company like Kohler, who's been around for so long and will probably be around for many generations, really feels strongly about that.
Yeah, because you think about like what happens to old toilets and sinks and all that stuff. They're finding amazing ways to reuse those products and crush them down and reuse them and so they don't sit in landfills forever. And it was just amazing to listen to her. I would, when we have these companies that you're all very aware of, as designers, especially Kohler, Cosentino, but to meet the families behind them, to hear Stanley talk about Hearst Cookware and how he's brought it through the years. I mean, that's like a whole nother story. He not only does he do cookware, but he does appliances for commercial, and he deals with a lot of chefs. His cookware is sold through Williams-Sonoma and a bunch of other places, but he invented this nanotechnology. He started talking about particles and molecules, and it was over my head, but there's something about this small piece. And I asked him, so like, in comparison, like a grain of sand. And he was like, oh, that's huge. So whatever this nanotechnology is, if you're, get that it's
scientific, right? It's nonstick and
safe, and that lasts forever.
Yes. And you can clean it where if like a chef may use that pan 100 times a day. After 6 months, they compared it with the brand new one. It was really hard to tell which was the new one, which was the old one. But anyway, that's a whole nother. So that was good. And then we started talking about indoor and outdoor living. And that was moderated by Steele Marcoux. She is the editor-in-chief of Veranda.
Yep.
And she had a designer, Laura Carrar. She had Barb Fuller, who's the VP of marketing with Arteriors. And then a very interesting woman
loved her.
Whose name was Wambui Ippolito. And she's a landscape designer. And she views nature as the greatest healer and seeks to make her gardens elegant and curative. She's check out the Project Refuge Theory, and she has an upcoming book called Terra Nova. She was another one who had nuggets and was very, very interesting.
She talked a lot. I mean, she does the coolest stuff, you guys. One like little tiny thing that she talked about was how she creates gardens for autistic children, and she does them in single colors. Like there'll be a red garden, a blue garden, but to have these kids outdoors with the textures and the colors and the scents, but in a very calming, beautiful way is very healing and very educational for them. I mean, have you ever heard in your everyday life of a landscape designer talking about gardens with autistic kids?
Yeah.
That was just a tiny one of the many things that she talked about. But when you think about the power of landscaping, the power of the outdoors
Nature.
in nature in interior design.
It's another.
It was fascinating.
And it's interesting because I feel like a lot of the people that we listen to, even though they're big, they're all very thoughtful.
Yes.
There was so many
And
thoughtful things that people did.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, from Paco to, the way he runs his business and how they're gracious and how great they were to everybody. Just so nice.
Very, very kind.
And very thoughtful and kind people. Yeah, she's
Mm-hmm.
definitely was one of those.
We love the girls at Arteriers.
Yes.
We spent a lot of time with Barb and Jen, and they had a big announcement.
Mm-hmm. Outdoor furniture. It looked really, really nice.
For Arteriers.
Yeah. So
if you're going to High Point, make sure you check it out because it was showing super, super good looking. Very different, contemporary.
Arteriers has some beautiful, beautiful products. Yeah.
It was great. Then what?
Well, then we had a little relaxation in the afternoon to be prepared for the white party.
Stressful in terms of the dresses.
But it was really great. It was, everybody wore white.
Yep.
The men, the whole
place.
everybody. And it was really funny because we were talking about somebody and Kelly said, that guy over in the white shirt. We're like, is that a joke? Anyway, they had an amazing buffet. They had tables set up on the beach. We just made a lot of new friends. There were so many, even though it was a bigger crowd this year, there were so many opportunities to talk with people and get to know them. And everybody's, kind of lighthearted and whatever. We met some great people from Four Hands. That was
those Four Hands peeps. Shout out to Adam and Josh and
a real treat. Stephen from Architectural Grill. We spoke with him. Bernardo.
He was the designer of all the events. I have to give ourselves props. We put ourselves out there, people. Here's the thing. Like when we go to these events, we don't just cuddle together and like sit in a corner and drink margaritas. We split up.
Yeah. And I'll be like, Kelly, you got to meet my new friends.
Yes.
And she'll be like, you have to meet my new friends.
Exactly. And it makes, you got to do it. You just got to put yourself out there. And
the thing is too, like we are usually together, but I don't really have a problem just going up to somebody. Like sometimes you'll be seeing somebody standing there and they'll either be something like, oh, I got a new great hair product from the lady in Chicago. Like I loved her hair. You can compliment somebody. If it's true, it's not like I was just, but I really loved her hair. And then all of a sudden, we got into a great conversation.
She was totally amazing. Oh my God.
Yeah, we have
She's
each
a
other's
powerhouse and
numbers and everything. Yeah. So just talk to people.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So then the next panel that came up was moderated by Steele Marcoux, who is the editor of Veranda. And she was chatting with Miles Red. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can see the peeps on the screen. It was Miles Red. It was Erica Kurtz from New Moon Rugs. Man, they have beautiful products. Mm-hmm. And Ryan Gordon Jackson, who is another beautiful designer. And they were talking about the customization craze. And I thought it was awesome because
everybody had a different take on it.
They did. And Miles and Ryan had some, like, they were agreeing, but it was still kind of different what they were talking about.
Yeah. Whereas Ryan likes to completely customize something, take it from scratch and do something to it where it's completely one of a kind and no one's ever done it. Mm-hmm. Whereas Miles says that he likes to start with I'm kind of with Miles.
I am too.
He likes to take something, he starts with it, and then because it's easier maybe for a client to understand, it's like, okay, so this is this chair, but we're going to do this to the arms, we're going to do so he has this inspiration to start with it, but then tweaks it. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was
He's got wild color in his design, so he paints a lot of things and really incorporates a lot of vintage and some interesting things. But
he's cool. Yeah.
He was a straight talker, and he said a few things that made me laugh. The first one was, and hear me if clients are listening to this, piecemeal decorating is the kiss of death. And I think for all the interior designers out there that do piecemeal installs, it is the kiss of death because clients see things in their singular space
Mhm.
and they don't get it and it doesn't make sense and they start to nitpick it and they start to get upset
true.
that that's ugly or it doesn't work, but they don't understand that the art that's coming, the rug that's coming, the pillow that's coming is going to pull everything together and make it fabulous. So I love that.
Yes, very true. And then we did get a quick little snippet on AI. And Ryan was very, very against that. He said that there is no way that AI could take over the soul that a designer puts into a project. And I have to agree with that. Same thing. Good starting point, inspiration, but AI will never, ever take our jobs away.
No. The other thing that Miles said, and I thought this was great advice for designers and for clients, is that when you're designing and especially when you're presenting to a client, you should leave 20% to chance. So meaning that you're not showing a design that's, buttoned up to the nth degree to a client. You're leaving a little bit, out there for movement, for seeing it in person and going, I thought that was going to look great, but I'm going to move that art here or this chair here, or I'm going to wiggle this a little bit.
It's called editing.
And it's okay. It's not everything can be designed perfectly on screen and on paper, and it's being in the space.
And we've done it many times.
Yes.
And we've like, wow, that looks so much better there than I would have agreed. So it always works out, but yeah.
It always works out, so don't panic.
It can't be so black and white that that piece has to be there. So that was very interesting.
I think that's hard for clients to understand. They just have to trust that the designer has the vision and we feel it very like Edward said, very viscerally, that we'll make it all work.
And what's nice is they were speaking to designers. So, we always question ourselves. We don't know. So to hear it from someone like that just makes you feel better about what you're doing and that, okay, I don't have to do it just like that.
Yeah.
If Miles Red can change it.
I think that's a really good point because, and who was I sitting next to? I was sitting next to somebody and she was like, it just makes me feel so much better to hear from these uber famous designers that they're going through the same stuff that we are. They're just like us. And it was very gratifying. Yes. And then what?
And then Dish with the Hearst editors.
This was
designers
so good.
Really always want to know about this. And they were very open and gave, great. It was Carisha Swanson. She's House Beautiful. Camille Occhio from Elle Decor and Grace Haynes from Veranda. Talking kind of fast because we have a little bit more. So we've heard this many times, but it's good reminders. Know the brand you're pitching to.
Oh, yes.
Like don't
send out a mass email.
And take a look at that photograph or that home and say, does this look like I would see it in that magazine? Like, yeah. And then invest in professional photography. We've talked about this a lot. They don't want iPhone pics. They don't want scouting shots anymore. They don't have the budget to have things professionally photographed.
Although Elle Decor still reshoots, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
One thing that Carisha said that I didn't know, and I'm so glad she said this, was...
Listen, designers out there.
So, you don't want to just send like a mega Dropbox filled with 50 photos to the editors and have them go through it, and they don't have time for that. So what they do when somebody sends, let's say when somebody sends Carisha a new project for her to review, what she then has to do to pitch it to her boss is she takes a few and she puts them in PDF form, 4 per page, and she kind of tells a quick story and she pitches it to her boss. So I've never done that. I would like to take that off her plate,
Yeah.
Take some of the photos, put them in a nice Keynote or PDF, 4 per page PDF.
Here's
so
the
she
story.
because she can't, imagine their inboxes and their storage capabilities. They can't hold all these high-res photos for, in mass quantities. So they need you to send them maybe just a few to highlight the project, send them a Dropbox link, low res. If your project goes through, they will request the high res.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really interesting.
And over, it's really, they say, it's all about the story.
Yes.
It really is about the story. Why you selected that, why you did this here, why you did that there. And then another thing that Grace said that I thought was really, she goes, you could have the most beautiful project.
Yes.
It just might not be a fit editorially.
Yes.
So, I think that's nice to know that.
So you just don't get your feelings hurt.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not that, your work isn't good. It just doesn't fit the pages, or it's just not right.
Well,
for
and
what's
they have
going on.
some magazines have themes. Like she was explaining that at Veranda, they have themes. So it might be city lofts, and you're sending her a beautiful project out in the country. And it's just, it's beautiful, but it's not going to fit right then. Oh, the other thing that they said, I was so grateful for this.
Oh,
one of the, you know what I'm going to say?
yes.
One of the designers stood up and asked a question, and she said, it's so hard to hold on to these projects for endless amounts of time, waiting on the editors to get back with us, when they're how I market myself, and they're how I build a beautiful portfolio. And we've done the same thing. We have 2 huge projects that are waiting in the limbs right now. Mm-hmm. And Carisha said, she was like, you don't need to do that. She said, you can post a few on social media or use it to your
a little sneak peek or
sneak peeks and so forth. Just don't show the whole project. So if you want to show 3 or 4, we've got this Keynote project. We have 87 images. Yeah. We can go ahead and show 5 or 6 on our Instagram and get people excited without blowing it for the national publication that we're pretty sure is going to publish it coming up soon. So I was so grateful for that.
Yeah.
That was great. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then, let's see. Then we had 4 breakout sessions, just real quick, that were super great, with Four Hands, Benjamin Moore, Fabawood, and Cosentino, and they were very experiential and very insightful into how the brands kind of market themselves, and I thought that was great. I think that going forward, we talked about this with Adam Japko and why he wanted to reinvent the upcoming Design Influencers Conference, that you've got to have experiential events. It just, our attention span is not what it once was.
Keep people moving. It was like everybody broke off. You were in group A, B, C, D, whatever, and you went to these different things.
It was very hands-on.
Yeah, you got to sit with somebody else. You got to hear from the brand. You got to do a little activity.
We did art projects. We did a little yoga. We did a Family Feud game with Cosentino. It was so fun. So that was important.
Yeah. And then in one of the breaks, they brought in some artisans, like Mexican handicrafters, and they sold some hats and purses, and they know designers are shoppers, and just brought a little flavor of Mexico, to the event.
Yes,
and kind of nice. You got to keep people excited, and they did such a good job with that.
I bought a beautiful, beautiful hat. It's embroidered in all different colors, and I don't wear hats because I don't have hat hair. But I'm going to hang it on the wall as part of my gallery with other pieces of art, because it is art. And the little girl, she a young woman, she embroidered my initials in the hat.
Yeah, it was so great.
I'm beside myself. Yeah, it was so beautiful. Okay. So the last one.
The final presentation, Jamie Drake, famous designer, talked about the Kips Bay Boys and Girls Clubs, which I'd heard about them, but didn't really realize. I'll just tell you, their mission statement is to enrich and enhance the quality of life for young people by providing educational and developmental programs with special emphasis on youngsters the age of 6 to 18 who come from disadvantaged or disenfranchised circumstances. And they have done a lot. He had a whole presentation on it. And also, I guess J-Lo was a Kips kid. We found out.
Who knew? But our good friend Mark Williams moderated that panel, and he did an amazing job. But, the Kips Bay Show House in New York City is kind of like the pinnacle of all show houses for designers. And it was just nice to just be reminded that giving back, and, we're sitting there in this luxurious location and with talking to the top designers in the country, and nothing was lost on us that there is a war going on, and there is hardship, and it was a prevalent kind of underlying feeling throughout, that we were all very grateful and very blessed. And so this conversation on giving back was
And then Mark Williams, who's a designer in Atlanta, he is part of the Design Leadership Foundation. There was another Design Leadership Network, which became very big, but then it kind of branched off into this smaller one. They're looking for people to help, but same kind of thing. But this is their mission is to ensure a culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion with the fields of architecture and interior design by providing access to tools, experiences that greatly enrich a student's exposure by having mentoring programs
Yep.
and things like that for people who may not be able to get into into that kind of world, to be able to go into a designer's office or and be able to see what could be possible for them.
Yes. Because
So
you don't know what you don't know. And these kids and young people, once they're exposed to something, you never know what their world could become. So thank you, Mark, for talking about Design Leadership Foundation. That was awesome.
Then we did really end on a high note. They did have a raffle and they gave away several things. All brands gave away some big things.
Big things.
But Mila, who for some reason couldn't make it, I know they've sponsored every event, but they couldn't make it. So they put up on the screen their beautiful coffee machine that's valued over $2,000, believe it or not, and everybody's getting one.
It was like Oprah.
So,
and you get a coffee maker. And you get we were wait, all of us? All 300 plus of us are getting this amazing.
Of course, everybody went crazy. But I have to say, the most emotional moment for me.
Yes, me
and
too.
It was crazy
because
there were a lot of emotional moments. There was so much great stuff. And it's like you go to these things and they stay with you for years.
Yes.
But at the end, Patty got up and thanked. There were so many people to thank. There were so many people involved. The marketing team. I mean, the way they put on this event, they've worked on it for months, and everybody just worked so hard and put their heart and soul into it. Patty was exhausted. She's done so much, but brought everybody onto the stage, and everybody was clapping, and she's calling out the names, whatever. Well, then the manager of the Grand Velos got up there and said how wonderful it was because they had the entire resort.
Yeah, they
so
bought
it was
out.
just Cosentino people.
Amazing.
And then he wanted to thank his staff, but literally for like the next 5 minutes.
Oh, more than that.
People were walking out.
It was
the chefs,
housekeeping,
the
maintenance.
Like everybody. And there were, I don't know, how many? 400 at least?
They were rows deep.
And standing ovation, everybody. And it was funny because afterwards everybody said, I got really choked up.
Yeah.
It was just a great way to thank these people. And everybody, I think it was the end of just something that was an experience that you're never going to forget, and how wonderful these people probably don't get thanked that often.
Yeah.
It was
kudos to the general manager for rallying that many people from accounting to front desk to maintenance and housekeeping and have them stand in front of 387 mostly Americans, and we were clapping and cheering for them, and they were amazing. We'd never wanted for a single thing for the 5 days we were there.
Really good feel good thing.
Yeah.
It just.
So we want to thank Cosentino for inviting us to this event. And I will say, as designers, we talked about the Aspire tour that we went on, and we have the Luxury Design Summit that's about to come up that we'll be talking about in Cape Cod coming up in May. Just a reminder to put yourself out there. Go to things. Go to things. No matter, even if it's totally outside of your industry, and just be brave. Put your lipstick on and put your good outfit on and just go do it. And you'll be so glad you did, because the guests that we have coming up on this podcast because of this event, the sponsors that we rallied. I mean, we worked it, baby, and we loved it. And it was exhausting, and we came home and didn't get off the couch for 2 straight days. But you know what? You got to do it. You just got to do it. And it was an investment. We didn't go for free. This was quite an investment to go, but it was worth every penny, and it was beautiful.
Yeah. It was really great. It was really great.
So there you go.
It's time.
Cosentino C.Next Designers event. We'll see you next year.
Yes. Okay. Funny quote.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Okay.
I believe that if life gives you lemons, you should make lemonade and try to find somebody whose life has given them vodka and have a party. That's from Ron White, the comedian. He's kind of a raunchy guy, but that was a clean one.
I love it. Okay, here's the serious quote. Ready? FEAR has 2 meanings. Forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. The choice is yours. And that is from Zig Ziglar.
Simple.
So many good things come from Zig Ziglar. But isn't that great?
Yeah.
Forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. We're risers.
Yep.
And it pays off.
Yes.
So, well, thank you, High Point Market Authority for sponsoring yet another podcast. We are so excited for the upcoming spring market.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a really good, the energy there, and I think it's gonna be very well attended. I think it's gonna be great.
Yes, for sure. So have a great week, everybody. Thank you for listening.
Yep.
Don't forget to give us some feedback on podcast at kandrac-kole.com, or you can email us at info at there's so many ways to get to us.
And don't forget to listen to our bonus episodes.
Oh, yes.
The Inside Scoop.
Yeah, they've been really fun. We got 2 in the pocket so far. We are about to record a third. So
every other Friday.
We're getting good feedback on that. So. All right, everybody.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Join Joanne and Kelly for a new episode every other Friday as they continue to explore the nuances of the interior design business with the goal of informing, inspiring, and entertaining their listeners. See their work at Kandrac-Kole.com and engage with them on Facebook and Instagram at Kandrac Kole.